The last few weeks have all been about dressing the past anew. The Bharatiya Janata Party, out of office in the capital since December 1998, has taken to time-tested ways of catching the public eye. Taking a cue from the Uttar Pradesh government's repeated attempts to rename townships of medieval India after Hindutva mascots, the party wants 40 villages of Mughal India to be renamed. There is a catch though. Some of the Mughal villages are not Mughal at all. They predate the arrival of the Mughals in 1526, with many villages' origin going back to 13th and 14th centuries. As for Delhi, well, all cities except Shah Jahanabad, founded by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in the 17th century, were established by non-Mughals. Siri, Adilabad, Tughlaqabad, Jahanpana, Firozabad and Deenpana were all founded before Shah Jahanabad and indeed Lutyens Delhi. Sultans like Alauddin Khalji, Ghayasuddin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, etc. were responsible for building these cities virtually from scratch. And most of the 40 villages shortlisted for rechristening by Mr. Gupta fall in these erstwhile cities of Delhi. Asking Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to issue orders for renaming the villages, Delhi BJP Chief Adesh Gupta said, "Delhi is no longer Mughaloं ki Sarai, but the capital of the country. The youth of these villages no longer want to carry on with these symbols of slavery. The country is celebrating the 75th year of our freedom as Amrit Mahotsav, and in such a scenario, no Delhiite wants any symbol of slavery, especially the people from these villages." Among the so-called symbols of slavery Gupta wants renamed are such upmarket places as Saidul Ajaib, Yusuf Sarai, Haus Khas, Sheikh Sarai, Muhammadpur and Masjid Maut, etc. His long and exhaustive list is there, but a little peek at the events around the naming of these villages would be useful. For instance, Zamrudpur near Delhi University's Lady Shri Ram College in South Delhi. Zamrud Khan was an Afghan noble at the court of Sikandar Lodi, father of Ibrahim Lodi, who fought Babur in the Battle of Panipat in 1526. Zamrud Khan was given this little fief or jagir by Sikandar in recognition of his loyalty to the Sultan. Zamrudpur today has 5 mausoleums where Khan's family members and close associates rest in peace. The demand for renaming Zamrudpur has a ring of irony to it. On the one side, we have had persistent references to contemporary Muslims being called Babur ki Aulad or progeny of Babur. On the other, the last vestiges of predecessors of Babur's opponents are sought to be erased from Delhi. Similarly, take the Begumpur Masjid in the village named after it. The mosque was built by Khan-e-Jahan Junan Shah, Prime Minister during the reign of Firoz Shah Tughlaq, who was known to favor mosques, madrasas and sarais for the wayfarer. The Begumpur Masjid is in a state of disrepair and its roof caved in last year. Now, rather than addressing the neglect of the heritage monument, the cry is to rename the village itself. Likewise, Saidul Ajaib is named after Sayyid ul Hujjab Maruf, a Sufi noble of Firoz Shah Tughlaq's reign. Maruf and his father Khwaja Wahid Qureshi were disciples of Nizamuddin Aulia. Today, the fiefdom of Maruf, Saidul Ajaib, is home to Garden of 5 Senses and often hosts cultural evenings. It is this little slice of rich history that the BJP wants erased from the socio-cultural map of the city. Both Yusuf Sarai and Haus Khas hail from early medieval India, a time when the Mongol raids were foiled by Alauddin Khilji, the ablest Khilji ruler who gave us some of the earliest administrative and economic reforms. The survival of Haus Khas and Yusuf Sarai, as indeed that of Siri, the capital founded by Khalji, Adilabad, Jahanpana, etc., is a matter not of slavery, as Gupta puts it, but pride for the nation for successfully resisting the Mongol onslaught. As for Delhi being a Mughaloं ki Sarai, it could not be farther from truth. Delhi indeed had scores of sarais, but they were built not by the Mughals but by Firoz Shah Tughlaq in the 14th century. Not everything Muslim in India is Mughal. As BJP seeks to rewrite history at the grassroots level, it's a demand much more sinister than the action of merely renaming a railway junction as in Mughal Sarai or a sacred confluence of rivers as in Allahabad or Prayagraj. The demand to rename 40 villages and a handful of roads in central Delhi is part of an emerging Hindu Rashtra as envisioned by the RSS, where everything non-Hindu is foreign.